I would like to introduce Deanna Becket. She's a character coach, author, and entrepreneur. She encourages others to reach higher, seek excellence, and set great habits. Deanna and her husband Chris have been married 23 years and homeschooled both of their children through high school. They have been teacher, principal, superintendent, and school board all in one. Deanna has a master's in laundry and a PhD in MOM, in all caps. Today she will update you on her journey as a speaker, author, and entrepreneur. I give you Miss Deanna Becket.
Once upon a time, there was a mom who constantly hounded her daughter to get off the phone. That same daughter stretched the phone cord from one end to the other end of the room. That daughter loved to be with friends, in person, and on the phone. That daughter went on to work in retail, hospitality, and many other industries. That daughter is me. Not much has changed, except many other life paths have veered me in many directions. High school graduation, college. Those of you who know my story, I gave up a baby for adoption. Moved to Rapid City, got married, had kids, decided to homeschool for 18 years. Had many at-home businesses, then wrote a book, now back to employment. I've also accumulated my Distinguished Toastmaster certification with Toastmasters. But my true heart is independence, freedom, entrepreneurship. I worked my Mary Kay business while I raised my kids for about 15 years. What I yearned for was to be on stage. I wanted that recognition. That's what I really desired. After helping myself and my kids get into a good habit setting, developing character, I feel called to coach and speak to help others grow in those great habits and those great virtues. So the last time we were here, we were preparing for an ebook launch, if you recall, last June. And I'm proud to announce, which many of you already know, that we became Amazon best-selling author in our genre for my ebook in the fall of 2018. In April 2019, we launched our paperback. My books are over here, cards and everything. I'm happy to announce that the next 2 book ideas and book titles have been secured. I purchased the book domain just Saturday night for my 3rd one. Now to carve the time to research and write. Being hybrid published gives me control of the profit and marketing of my titles. And hybrid means I'm not fully self-published, that I do it, like in a back room kind of thing. It means I actually have a publisher. That's the publisher you'll see on the cover of the book. But I am self-funded and self-promoted. So I keep 100% of the profit that I get from my books. It's not handed out to anybody else or any other publisher. I am going to change the order of my next books though. I went from hardback to ebook to paperback, and I've still yet to do my audio. So I'm going to take it a little slower next time and launch ebook, because you can do that fast, then audio, then paperback. I might not even consider a hardback. So some successes since we last met is I've purchased a speaking coach system that has taught me these highlights. Have your website mastered, have your branding firm, and have a demo reel on your website. I've also learned a few other things too that I'll share. So as I've been improving in these areas, I've been doing some conference searching and applications online. That's one thing that they've been teaching us in this coaching as well. I was hired by our homeschool group in Tampa, Florida to present their commencement address for their high school graduates. I was in my glory, my red dress, my countryman mic, and it was my peers. It was homeschool parents. As I walked up on the stage getting ready to speak in front of 1,000 people, I heard that inner voice say, "This isn't about you. This isn't about you anymore. This is about the message that you have for them." That heavy aha moment weighed on me for many seconds before I spoke my first word. When you get a message like that, when you're ready to speak, you're like, oh Lord, how am I going to get that under control? But now I have a greater passion for my message than about me on stage. So I've been speaking at a few events this fall, and I'm in my second year of my weekly Facebook Lives. And we're looking forward to our event, Lifting Your Limits. It's a day of transformation, Saturday, October 12th. And I have a coupon code if you are looking for tickets, so let me know afterwards. And it's $20 off of your tickets. I'm also very proud of the work done on my demo reel, and our IT team is going to get that playing for you. I think my social media gal got it pretty right on.
I have amazing energy that lasts all day.
That was Tampa.
Sounds like it's fading already.
This was Lifting Your Limits in spring. Mike was our only guy speaker. Sorry, the sound is not very loud. I spoke at Aging Gracefully Expo for SDSU Extension. And this was 2018 Christian Women's Conference. And just 2 weeks ago I spoke at the 2019 one. It's only about a minute and a half, but that's really all you need on your demo reel. But it's accumulating all of the videos together. And then the last part that we're coached is to make sure you have a call to action. So you'll notice that when we wrap up after this.
And then of course we've got
and there's the call to action. Another part of my website is coaching. So I do coaching, speaking, and I'm an author. So more details about that are on my website. I won't get into a lot of that, but I do offer coaching and a 30-minute complimentary consultation basically for anybody who wants that. So next up on the adventure is developing more video for YouTube channel. I had some training by my social media gal, and what a learning curve. Instagram TV, and working on audio for a podcast. I'm following Scott's lead, following his podcasts on Facebook, and of course under Jack's recommendation on a few things too. Plans are to make some shifts in the spring, and my challenges are of course time and energy to research speaking engagements online, of course writing and doing video. And then another big challenge is creating cash flow from all of these ideas. We are, told to be online, told to be on social media, told to be on, or suggested I should be saying, on YouTube, but sometimes it doesn't cash flow. So cash flow and time freedom in all these ideas, that's my challenges. So that's what I have for you for your update today.
Constantine, I guess my question is, so within your speeches, do you have this the same kind of angle and niche that you speak about, or do you adapt your message based on what you're asked to speak, or do you have kind of a specialty area that you hone in on as far as your speaking?
Certainly. What I fit in most of my speeches, depending on who I've talked to and if they've heard the particular components before, but one of the main things is doing affirmations out loud. We stand up. I encourage the audience to stand up and do it together. I actually did it with the graduating class. Another thing with the past Christian Women's Conferences, we did a practice on being quiet and still and just sit and think and dream. I'm trying to think of the other couple of components. One is the different hats we wear, and another one is a balancing act. So those are 4 of my main components. I do have a couple of other subcomponents that I just don't have memorized right now. So I will take, depending on what time frame, I'll be speaking at the Girlfriends Conference November 3rd, I believe that is, up in Hill City. And I've got 40 minutes. So I'm going to take 2 of my components from my 30 minutes, add another component to make it 40 minutes, but typically the same. But I will adjust it. So like the homeschool group, I addressed the parents and commended them on their work and things like that. Another one, a few years ago, I talked to the group that you're involved with, the construction, women in construction.
Yeah, NAWIC.
Yep, and so I adapted some things, and we actually sang some silly songs, and so I'll adapt to that group for a portion of it, but not the whole entire thing. So it's kind of a blend.
Matt Bruner of GOED, you mentioned, particularly for your book, that you're in charge of your own marketing, right? Have you seen any, I guess, what's the biggest bang for your buck over time? Biggest bang for your time that you found to what you've done so far to drive sales?
Speaking.
Okay.
Being able to sell the books in the back of the room. That's the biggest bang for the buck, yeah.
How about digitally?
Digitally, that was, you're going to make, I'm trying to think of my profit margin, I don't have that memorized, but for like a $9 book, I'll probably see $1.50, $2, or $10 book, I should say. So it's not a heavy margin for, and having an online book, an ebook, is not for cash flow. It's more for name recognition and gathering that, that Amazon best-selling author. That's kind of what an ebook is for, and for people who actually read on Kindle. I'm an old-fashioned paper kind of person.
Sure.
Yep.
So maybe I'll rephrase it then, I guess, and get it back to you, because at the end of the day, everything you're doing is for your brand. So what have you seen as successful to get your either recognition for your book, public speaking, opportunities like that? How do you get yourself out there? Because there is a lot of people that think doing something similar to you.
Yep.
How do you rise above that? Once you be found, say, Google, Amazon,
Right.
Facebook.
Yep.
So,
Being on social media, another thing that your website, I've been told, your website gets more traffic is if you've got a blog on it, because it's got more searchable words, and making sure your blog has those key searchable words. Yeah, so it's all technology. So I'm just learning as we go.
So you probably don't do a lot of marketing that's not digital, I imagine.
Not a lot, no. No, it's heavily, and then of course when you land speaking gigs, you ask for the permission to sell at the back of the room. So that's the hard cover or the paper part of the marketing. Yeah, it's mostly digital.
Scott Wiley, Practical Christian Counseling at Word Hope Church. So about your book, maybe could you tell the story of how you came about to write a book, and then where it went from there? How did you get it published, or what was some of your process on that?
Sure, definitely. Let me think of the time frame. Was it 3 years ago, I believe? I attended, I can't remember if it was my first or second Day of Excellence, and one of the speakers was a book coach. And I went up to his table after, I think he spoke before lunch, and I went up to his table after everybody had dismissed for lunch, and I thought there was going to be a line at the table, and there was no line at the table. And my stomach was just jumping and going all over the place. And so I went up to the table, shook his hand, and said, I want to do what you do, meaning speak professionally. And I said, I think I have a book inside me. It wasn't the book that I have right here. It's going to be my next book. But he coached me through writing all of our life lessons. So in a self-development book, we write our life lessons. So the life lessons are my stories growing up in North and South Dakota. So it's all about Dakota Prairie living. And then when I was developing the book, I would go on walks, and that's where I got my ahas. I don't know about anybody else. If you have a stuffed up mind, take a walk out in the country, and your mind will clear, and things will come to you. But I remember back in, I would imagine it was back in my Mary Kay days, I was introduced to Ben Franklin's 13 Virtues. And I just had an aha and went, I wanted 12 chapters. So I ended up with 13. So it's kind of that extra bonus donut in the baker's dozen. So it's a 13-chapter book. So it just walks through my life lessons and combining Benjamin Franklin's virtues, one in each chapter. Does that answer all of your questions? It was multifaceted.
Okay, so then you started writing and getting it out there. Did you? And then, so who helped you along the way after that, and to get into the publishing? And that?
Sure.
I'm asking for a friend.
Exactly. I get that. Writing and then organizing, it was all through my book coach, organizing them into chapters. And then a friend of mine at the same time hired the same coach. So we wrote at the same time. And I have a feeling if we weren't writing at the same time and we weren't able to call each other and say, where are you at? We were kind of in competition. Who's going to get done first? I won by about 3 days. I don't know if either one of us would have finished the book. So having someone writing alongside you or who have gone through the same process, and we would check in weekly or sometimes twice a week. Go, where are you at? I'm stumbling with this, I'm stuck here. And then when it came to, I'm gonna grab the book. When it came to designing the cover and doing the layout, my book coach actually has a team of people. Most books, when you take the cover off, you have a boring inside, right? This publishing company does it bang up job. I mean, you've got a full-on cover when you take the jacket off. So the cover designer and the book layout, because you take a Word document and you've got to fit it into this format. So that's the same person. So I've got people. And then when it came to putting the publishing on there and the ISBN number, that was another person as well. So there's a whole entire team that they lined us up with. So that was the whole layout and the cover design. So it was kind of a team. Now for the next books, they're going to be smaller. They're not going to be a big 6x9 book. So I might go somewhere local and just go a little bit lower cost. Yep. Does that answer everything or almost everything?
It's getting there.
All right.
We'll have a one-on-one sometime.
We can visit. Yeah, exactly. Did you have a question?
Well, I think you had kind of answered it, but in reference to, you said you started with the hardcover, softcover, and then kind of basically did it backwards. Why are you switching gears for the next one? I think you answered it because of marketing, but
Right.
maybe you could explain why.
The ease of getting it into the market, and what's really nice about doing an ebook is it's launched on Amazon, and then it's all digital marketing. And you can capture that Amazon best-selling author. My logo does not have it on here, but usually my logo has the Amazon, what do you call it, the little icon, right, with the award. And you can capture that and put it on your cover, or put it on more of your marketing materials once you have that. So that's one of the reasons.
And so if you were to do the ebook, is it the entirety of the book, or is it sections of it to kind of?
Nope, it's the whole book. Yep, it's just your
And
Kindle
then-
version.
And then audio following that because.
Right. Because I've lacked in doing this audio. So I was like, I'll just do the next one. Right.
What has been kind of your biggest challenges in developing the brand, getting that out, what have you been doing?
Sure. The branding I did before I even started writing the book, because I had a design or a plan to be speaker only. And then I met the book coach. So that was all laid out by a friend of mine. I think a few of us know her. And we started laying out the website. So that was like the first initial part. The speaking coaching that I've been taking has been, I grabbed my phone because I want to read the niche. So in addition to what I shared during my presentation, they also recommend fine-tuning your audience, because we can all speak to anybody. But if there are 2,000 speakers that have a similar message, with leadership and entrepreneurialism and character development and all that, and they're not honed in on their niche, you might be passed by. So you've got to get really downright specific, and that was the hardest thing for me, was getting really in that niche. So I honed it down, and I actually have it listed on my website, so I'm going to read it to you. it might be in fluctuation, but right now it says, I help mompreneurs overcome doubt and fear, igniting their fire so they are refreshed, renewed, and refocused to conquer with confident peace. Confident peace was the magic phrase that I wanted to have in my description of my marketing materials, but I had to get really specific. I relate mostly to women, and that's who I speak to the majority of the time, in a room full of mostly men. Funny. But I also speak to women who are moms and women who are moms who are working a business at home, because that's what I've gone through. And there are millions of them out in the world that are doing that. So I'm not, losing a lot of business, but I'm getting specific and honing in on that niche market. That was the hardest thing, was actually doing that. Because when I first watched the video on how to do that, I was like, are you kidding me? How am I going to do that? And we're still developing every day.
Colleen Reagan and Freedom Acupuncture. So I'm going to jump back to your homeschooling, and I know moms are really considering it. So I'm wondering, what was your biggest motivation to homeschool your kids, and what were the biggest challenges in doing that? What was most daunting about homeschooling?
Oh my goodness. They're both in college now, so we've done the right thing. When my son was 3, he's 20 right now, I actually had him registered for one of the preschools over on the east side of town. And we were at the library, and I ran into another mom with 4 kids in her tow and one on the way. And we got to talking. We went out to visit. We actually both lived in the same area of town. And I just thought, how come there's so much peace in this house? I mean, the kids weren't chaotic, jumping all over him, and she was with them 24/7, 4. And she had a 13-year-old son, and he was downstairs in the basement, and she needed to bring up something. And she called down and asked him to bring something up, and it wasn't 10 seconds later, and he had it up in her hands. And I looked at her and went, how did you do that? And she handed me a magic book of discipline. And I took those suggestions and implemented them in our home. But we also got to talking about homeschooling, and for some odd reason, Dr. Dobson kept talking about homeschooling on the radio as I was listening that whole next, I don't know how many months, three months. So I started digging in, looking into it, talking to her, and just jumped in. Which is funny because my husband's mom, dad, and sister, all public school teachers in their lifetime. So it was quite an adventure. The difficult part was, and I think most moms will attest to this, the difficult part was making sure your kids were obedient to you, because you can't do anything and be leading them, guiding them when they're not listening. So there were days where we would actually focus on discipline and obedience. It sounds harsh, but I can tell you otherwise. A whole day. We would take a whole day out of a school day and work on discipline and obedience. And there wasn't any particular subject that was challenging, because my husband and I are both science, math background, and then I've got the other side of the fun side. So, and then just constantly learning. So my son is science, math. Well, my daughter's free spirit, so she's in welding right now. So she's creative arts, artistic, and I knew that I had to push one, but ease back on the other. But my husband was the same way, so we just looked at how we were raised, how we learned, and I just adjusted it in the home. And I wish more classrooms could do that, but you've got 20, 30 kids that learn in a completely different way, and it's almost impossible, but that's what we can do at home. Did that answer quite a bit of it? Okay.
Deanna, I have
Yeah.
a question. So your title is character coach. I'm intrigued by that, and I'm wondering how you get clients, if it's referral based, because I imagine nobody comes to you and says, I really lack character, can you, tune me up?
Exactly.
So how does that work?
Yeah. I looked at how I was marketing myself, or how, to have a title, some kind of little tagline. We created that last year. Just because my book focuses on character, and where I came from, I was telling Jack, commented, stop being so happy this morning. And I said, do you know how many years it took me from being a bitch to being joyful and happy all the time, and it's been a journey. I mean, my husband can tell you, when he first met me 24 years ago, totally different person. I'm hoping he likes what is now. But character coach just fit because I've come from here and gone to here, and I want to help other people do that. I offer typically from the stage an opportunity for people to sign up for a complimentary session. This is what I do from the stage. And then once in a while I'll post it on, Facebook or my business wall. But I had one gal actually message me because of our Lifting Your Limits event, and she wanted to make some changes in character. And so I actually got a message this week. So it's few and far between, but it's sometimes people are looking for changes in those areas. So it works out well. But typically I offer it from the stage or on Facebook. Yep.
Yeah, Mike Dupre with Rocket Talks. I'm curious, so your entrepreneurial journey, was that something you were kind of forced into when you started homeschooling and you had to try something different? Or was that something you were already doing which made homeschooling work? I mean, what chicken or the egg, which kind of came first?
Sure. Like most moms, not delving off of man question, but like most moms, they usually step back from their career, or they continue with their career and have to put their kids in childcare. And it's hard. It's a hard balancing act for moms. So when I had to pull out of my career, which I was a financial advisor at the time, so those of you in banking and financial advising, I'm there, I relate. And I pulled back out of my career. I was independent, so I tried to do it from home a little bit while we had kids. And then eventually I'd just given it up because it just wasn't feeding me anymore. And I went with something more creative. But it was hard stepping back and then having this new role of taking care of this human that, I don't know, most women don't have a clue what they're doing with this little baby and balancing it and raising and realizing the overwhelming tasks. Some women go into motherhood going, that's me. That was not me. I mentioned that from stories from the stage. I was the type of person in college, I would hear a kid screaming in the aisle next door, and I would yell, "Shut your kid up." I'm not kidding. I was that type of person. I was not having kids. So when I had kids, then I decided to homeschool, and my family thought I was absolutely insane. But motherhood changes people. Motherhood, fatherhood changes people as well. But I knew that I had to have something to do at home, or I would go stir crazy. So even in addition to homeschooling, I wanted to create some kind of worth and value and a little bit of cash flow. So that's why I continue to have some kind of monetary or purpose in a business from home. And like I said, I had that vision of being on stage. I wanted that recognition. And then with evolving my character, I realized I was not made for insurance and financial advising. And I actually have a degree in engineering. I was not made for that scientific stuff. I'm made for people. And so that's where I related that and finally came out of my shell and went, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be. But that's why I continued that way.
Well, I have another question. I think I've asked before, but I can't remember. So your role and your work at the YMCA, do you have a timeline for when you'd like to work yourself out of that and just do your speaking, coaching, writing full time?
Certainly.
Kind of have a timeline in mind?
Certainly. I would love to tell you exactly when, but I might be listened to at work, so since we're on Facebook Live, I can't really, but I'll be doing a shift in the spring. So we'll have to see how that goes, but until then, we just keep on doing what we're doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
I have one more. You mentioned, are you doing podcasts?
Just starting.
Okay.
So Jack introduced me to the
Anchor.
website, and then I've played with it and realized this is easy. Do it straight from the phone. And then I noticed Scott was doing that same website, so just beginning. And since I'm already in radio, I'm thinking it should be an easy fit and easy transition.
Maybe just for the group, kind of explain the process and how that works, because I think that's the new frontier, one of them, for
Right?
getting your information out there. With that said, it's
Yep.
a lot to sift through when you go on. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time. It's overwhelming at some point.
Right.
to see what information is out there, so maybe how you're doing it and how you set yourself apart.
Yep. Well, like I said, I just started playing with the app, so I haven't, laid out. It's good to lay out. Like Scott has sermons that he can just, pull from and kind of pull in there. So I've got to lay out kind of a plan, a strategy for what I'm going to talk about, and if I want to do it daily or weekly or monthly or how I want to do that. And then I've got to pull it in addition to video as well, because I want to do YouTube. The wave of the future is video. I mean, when we think about it, because people want to see things and they've got that attention span. So I don't know what the research is behind still podcasting. Obviously, it's handy to listen to when you're driving around in your car or when you're on the treadmill or whatever, when you don't have access to that. So I'm still playing with it. But it seems pretty simple, and you just schedule them. So if you got more specifics, I think Scott's got more experience than that, so you can talk afterwards.
Like 2 weeks.
Right. I'm on your tail.
Other questions for Deanna?
Why do you say video is the wave of the future? I mean, we see that, but what research or what information do you have to know that?
Just social media coaches that have told me.
And do you have video? Like, do you notice that people gravitate more towards that than they would either audio or just?
Yeah, and I'm not a social media master, but typically if you've got a video in a social media post, I mean, even if it's just 30 seconds, I mean, think of cat videos and kid videos. I mean, that's what you gravitate towards. You would more likely, or it's probably more likely that you would watch that video than you would just look at a picture and read a caption. I mean, read a caption is way on the bottom of the list, and then adding a picture and then adding a video is just higher.
And that's
higher
what they
engagement.
have said.
Yeah.
Social media coaches.
Right. I think there's a market for video and a market for audio, because everybody's got to listen at a particular time.
Deanna, at this stage in the game, are you pretty well aware of your competition?
I try to ignore the competition, and really, realistically, with authors and speakers, we're all in a different niche. I mean, if I really dug into somebody who is doing, transformational speaking to mompreneurs, I mean, we'd probably find people out there, but we've all got a little different bent on things. And I would like to get more involved in like a speakers association. The NSA is one, but they don't meet here. I'd have to either go to one of the big cities, Denver, Minneapolis. I'm trying to think of some other things that would fit there too. But being able to even rub shoulders with, there's local people. I've even invited local speakers to our event, because iron sharpens iron. We feed off of each other, and it makes a good support network.
Other questions for Deanna? All right, with that, let's give it up for Deanna one more time.